Hi, everyone. It's Arena McWilliam Lopez from 1623 Studios, and I'm joined here today by Ray and Beth from awesome Rockport. Hi, guys. Thanks
Good
for joining
morning.
us. And let's just start with a quick round of introductions. Ray, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in awesome Rockport.
Thanks. Well, I'm involved in Awesome Rockport really because in 2015, my next door neighbors, Beth and Sal, really were they just came knocking one day and said, "We've got this neat idea that we want to. We've been working on this project called Awesome Gloucester, and they had laid the background for that when they were up in Toronto. Wasn't it in Toronto when you guys were involved with Awesome Toronto at the same time? And said, hey, we want to put together a group of like-minded individuals here in town, and we want to find a way to financially support just very grassroots proposals to try to make awesome Rockport more awesome. And I was in. I was in from the first moment. That was kind of a no-brainer. Hit all the right notes for me. So I was
That's
glad
so
to.
inspiring. Super inspiring. And so I think what's really neat about this is it's this big sort of like network of different chapters, and different chapters, have different types of priorities. And so that's a really neat part of just learning a little bit more about this. And so, Beth, would love to hear a little bit about you, and then just move right into introducing us to Awesome Rockport. And
Okay.
sounds like we have a little clue as to how it got started, but would love to hear more from you.
Okay. So kind of like what Ray said. So prior to that, when we were living in Toronto, my husband Sal, his friend was actually in awesome Toronto. And Sal was super intrigued with it. And when we moved home to Cape Ann, not far after that, Sal and a group of people decided they wanted to really form Awesome Gloucester. And so I was actually a trustee of Awesome Gloucester at the time. And we started doing school challenges in Gloucester and loved watching the kids get involved. And we lived in Rockport. So if we wanted our kids to be involved and we wanted Rockport kids to be involved, we actually needed to start a chapter. And so that's kind of where it started. And in Rockport, in Gloucester, they have over 20 trustees. In Rockport, we do things a little different. We have 10 families. Sometimes it's one person from a family, sometimes it's a couple. Um, and each of the families actually kicks in $100 of their own cash every time we do this. And we also don't run it every month like Gloucester, but we do run it 4 or 5 times a year. We do either community challenges or we do outreach. So yeah, so we've been doing it now, like Ray said, since 2015. And on Friday, we'll be closing our 22nd event.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And so in the past, some of the grants, it sounds like, have they gone to you mentioned school challenges. What does a school challenge entail?
So a school challenge entails we were for a while doing it with Rockport Middle School and Rockport High School, and I'm actually a Rockport Public School teacher, so I kind of had an in to helping to kind of grow that. And we also partnered up with the Ed Foundation, so the Educational Foundation in Rockport would match our grant, which was exciting. So we could each give $1,000 to both of those schools to kind of give it one global school challenge. And what we decided was when we did community challenges, and so they would be, students who basically pitched. But what we also noticed was when we did community challenges, the students also were showing up. So then we realized in Rockport, because of our size, we didn't really need to do school specific challenges anymore. We just need to do community. And when we do communities, we advertise it in the schools just like we did a school challenge, but we also advertise it outside of Rockport Public Schools. And that seems to be the best recipe for us because, again, of our size and because we're not doing it every month like Gloucester, that seems to be like the nice hybrid.
That's wonderful to hear about that intergenerational engagement. And so clearly things have changed quite significantly in terms of needs and, just impact on the community due to the pandemic. And so, Ray, could you tell us a little bit about how this pandemic has affected the priorities of Awesome Rockport and how Awesome Rockport is responding.
Sure. One of the back in November, Awesome Rockport gave its grant at the time to the Rockport ambulance group. We were impressed. They had come to the group and proposed. They said, "Look, yeah," they said, "Look, we don't have." One of the things that they like to do that they don't have immediate funding for is that when they go out into the community and when they go into homes doing their ambulance work, that they get to see needs that most other people don't get to see. Um, so a real glimpse into people's lives, a real behind the scenes look. And so here they are, this big hearted group looking to help. Does somebody need a coat? Does somebody need, how are they for food? So they came to us and they wound up winning our grant back in November for that. So I think that kind of planted a seed with us because as a group, one of the things that Awesome Rockport has done over the years is has reached out in the absence of proposals. It's what we refer to as kind of like a guerrilla philanthropy, where we just say, "Hey, we see something awesome happening in the community. We want to help that." They haven't come to us with a proposal. They haven't come to us to ask for money, but we want to do something to help them. So having known about the Rockport Ambulance Group, um, Awesome Rockport decided we'd like to reach out now with the pandemic going on again because they're seeing a slice of reality that most of us simply will, and we did, and we approached them with additional funds, and that was back in March, 2 months ago. So I think that really speaks to our ability to do something for the community at such a grassroots and such a grassroots level. I mean, the hairs go up on the back of my neck just talking about that. So it's pretty remarkable. Um, and as far as the pandemic goes, we do have an open challenge, and proposals are due this Friday. If you go to awesomefoundation.org and submit a proposal, anything pandemic related, we would like to consider. And again, the deadline is this Friday. One of the one of the things that really stands out to me, being a trustee for Awesome Rockport, is when we have what we call our pitch night, where we've selected the three final groups of all the proposals. We'll thin it down to three final proposals, and we'll ask them to either come live, or nowadays it's remotely via video chat, and make their presentation. And after the three presentations are given, the trustees branch off and we deliberate. We each get 1 minute to kind of say our piece. And what I've loved probably most about being part of Awesome Rockport is, when I go into that deliberation process with my mind made up, and then I listen to all the other trustees, and by the end of it, I've made a 180. I've made a completely different decision about who I think the most deserving group is.
Wow.
But for me, I mean, that really highlights, I think, the need and the value of connecting, of communicating, of doing things together. And as we're all experiencing, I mean, coming together right now to make awesome decisions, that's exactly what we need this day. So that's sort of my tie-in for where my heart is with Awesome Rockport, and how I see it tying in with the current state of the world.
Definitely. And it just sounds like I read a lot of articles about philanthropy, and in particular, a message that I keep seeing right now is that philanthropy needs to be more flexible, more entrepreneurial, more innovative. And it just seems like that is a real gap where, you're kind of standing out as a foundation where you're creating a lot more transparency in how the grant making is happening. um, and just that even those hopeful grantees are being able to hear each other's ideas. That's so important, because typically it's just, sort of submitted through writing. And I think a challenge of a lot of nonprofit circles is they don't understand necessarily how they can support each other. So that's really neat to hear. And how about any just bright spots or calls to action? I think one of the calls to action is just for folks to look at the grant application that's now still open until Friday. But Beth, would love to hear any bright spots that you've seen over the past couple of months, things that are inspiring you, or messages of hope that you'd like to share with the community.
I've seen a lot of groups, as I'm sure you guys have. I know Awesome Gloucester actually gave money to the group. We're in this together. Rockport's also a part of that group. And we've seen, local people supporting each other with food donations, with mask making. We've got a group here in Rockport that are, busily making masks and taking donations of material and these types of things. And so, one of the things that's really great about Rockport, I think, as well, and it's kind of part of the whole Awesome Foundation mission is, even one of the great things like Ray described with Pitch Night is everyone gets to hear each other's ideas. But also, even though we can only award $1,000 at any given event, we often remind the people pitching that it's not a no, it's just not a right now. I mean, and we truly mean that. At our last pitch, actually, the other two proposals basically just carried right over because they're all awesome. They continue to be awesome. And people need to kind of keep coming to these groups, whether it be Awesome Gloucester, Awesome Rockport. And even if you're not given the grant, you don't give up and you come on back because sometimes it's a matter of timing or time sensitivities. But I also want to just kind of reiterate what Ray said about proposals are due on Friday. It could be something small. And I want to really say that, it can be people of all ages, guys. So if you're an elementary student and you've got this great idea of just uplifting some of your neighbors and you need some seed money to kind of, grow that, submit a proposal, right? We've seen proposals for material for masks, but you could get creative here. This is a really amazing time to get creative, to kind of put a smile on your neighbor's face, to brighten someone's door. So think about this. This is a really great opportunity. And one thing we have a little more now than we've ever had is time.
Yeah.
So how do we use that time?
And Ray, what about you? Any words of inspiration for the community?
It's the innovation around here is just off the charts, and everyone is digging in. Everyone is rolling up their sleeves. The grit, the passion, blows me away. So let's just keep our eyes open, look around. Between giving your next door neighbor the benefit of the doubt, realizing that we're all doing our best right now, and that might be not the standard that we're used to, but we're all doing our best to be a little bit more forgiving with ourselves and with each other. But don't stop looking around and looking at the goodness out there, because as much as we're getting bombarded with scary stuff, there's a lot of awesomeness out there, and even in little old Rockport, so it's pretty awesome.
Old Rockport.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Well, thank you so much. It's really inspiring to hear about all of this, and certainly doesn't discount the hardships, but I think it's just so wonderful to have a reminder every day about what we can be grateful for, what we can be positive about, and what we can be energized about. And I think that there's so much of that going on at Awesome Rockport. So thank you so much.
Can I give a little plug for if people are interested in becoming a trustee?
Definitely.
So if you're interested in becoming a trustee, you can go to our Facebook page and message us there, or you can go to the Awesome Foundation and you can email us directly on the Awesome Rockport link from the Awesome Foundation. So you just like to, if you want to join an awesome group like this, those groups are available to you, and send us a message.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Thanks for having us.